everyone, and welcome back. If this is your first time, I hope you'll stay. Espero que te quedes. Hoy estoy aquí con una invitada muy, pero muy especial. Pero ahora voy a dejar que ella misma se presente. ¿Se presente? Introduce yourself, por favor.
¿Me presento en español o puedo
Vale.
presentarme
Lo que te
en
salga.
Hi, my name is Damarys, and I am from Honduras. I am a Black Latina, but I am also from the Caribbean, and we'll get into that following our conversation.
Okay, so that is lovely. That's a mixture of cultures. Maravilloso, eso es maravilloso. Entonces, eres caribeña, pero también eres latina y eres americana por el acento que noto.
El acento, sí.
Háblame de los idiomas que hablas. What do you speak?
So hablo inglés americano, porque, that's how I have to survive. Hablo inglés caribeño, eso es mi lenguaje natural. Hablo español, aprendí a hablar español en la escuela y hablo garífuna. Hablo garífuna not fluently,
Sí.
pero entiendo y I can have a conversation.
Sí, puedes sobrevivir, ¿no? Muy bien. Pero es que hay tantas cosas que te quiero preguntar, hay tantas preguntas que te quiero hacer, pero principalmente, ¿de dónde eres realmente? Tu isla, ¿cómo se llama?
Roatán. I'm from the island of Roatán.
Sí.
En español you pronounce it Roatán, pero
Sí.
en inglés, como se dice los caribeños de Roatán, es Roatán.
Roatán. Okay.
Roatán.
¿Y eso está cerca de dónde?
Roatán es cerca de, we're close to the Cayman Islands. I would say we're a bit close to, when it comes to the Caribbean islands, we're close to the Cayman Islands and Jamaica. Not entirely close, but those are the closest Caribbean islands to us.
Sí.
I think it's a little over 40 miles away from the mainland of Honduras too.
Ok. Entonces, por eso que la nacionalidad vuestra es, ¿qué es? Because you said before you are from...
Sí, somos Roatán es un departamento de Honduras.
Sí.
Somos un departamento de Honduras. Yeah, we're a state of Honduras. So, although we are a territory in the Caribbean, somos hondureños porque la isla pertenece a Honduras.
Ok. Pero dime, porque yo vi un video tuyo donde estabas hablando en lo que yo identifiqué como patua. Digo, ¡oh, es jamaicana! ¡Qué emoción! Y pensé que, no sé, me confundí un momento porque, claro, es muy parecido, ¿no? Entonces, la gente, ¿cómo reacciona la gente cuando te escuchan hablar así con ese swing jamaicano?
Shocked. People are shocked because when you tell somebody, if you say, well, I'm from Honduras, they expect you to speak Spanish. But then when they hear we start talking like this and they see that we talk like the rest of the people that in the West Indies, then they come off like, how you talk like that and you're Honduran? It doesn't make any sense. Why do you talk? How are you Honduran with it's automatically, it's always going to be a Jamaican accent, because that's pretty much, Jamaica is how everyone explains, everyone that's not from the Caribbean, that's how they explain, the Caribbean, like, oh, you talk Jamaican, is Jamaican, because, a lot of people are not familiar with the rest of the Caribbean islands, but people are 1,000% shocked. And that's when I have to start explaining to people how I'm also Honduran. The same way you have someone from St. Thomas, St. John, from these Virgin Islands, someone from Puerto Rico, that they have, a completely different culture, but their passport are still American. It still says United States of America. Is the same way for the Bay Islanders. So the Bay Islands is a department of Honduras, and it's made up of 3 Caribbean islands. It's Utila, Guanaja, and Rotan. Rotan being the biggest of the 3 Bay Islands. So when people hear Honduras, they don't even know Honduras have these 3 islands in the Caribbean. So when they hear Honduras, they automatically assume they're like, oh, a Black Latina. And then they hear me talking to my parents and they're like, wait, you're Afro-Caribbean, like what are you? And it's like I do like to like people to know, I'm like, you can very much be both. And you know, I'm like, and if you want me to sprinkle a little bit of something extra on top of all of that, I'm also Garifuna. So there's that.
Wow, mucha gente no sabe de la gente Garifuna, ¿no? Hay un pueblo that I don't know if you say the same in English, Garifuna people. I don't know if you say exactly the same as you do in Spanish, but es que no aprendemos de pueblos diferentes que existen en el Caribe o en las Américas. Y es por eso que quería invitarte, ¿no? Para hablar un poquito sobre tu gente. Tell me about the Garifuna community. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, the Garifuna people are a hybrid group of Africans who come from St. Vincent. They were exiled from St. Vincent in the late 1700s. They were exiled to Rotan. So Rotan does have the first Garifuna community. However, the island of Rotan itself is not predominantly Garifuna. We only have one Garifuna community. I just so happen to be lucky to have been born into that community. But there's one Garifuna community, and from Rotan, Garifuna people began to migrate into into Honduras, and from there they spread out into Guatemala, Nicaragua. Belize has an insane Garifuna population. Like the Garifuna tradition and the community thrives so greatly in Belize. Like it's a whole different level. So the migration of the Garifuna people went from St. Vincent. There's still Garifuna communities in St. Vincent. But the Garifuna people who remained in St. Vincent were not allowed to practice their Garifuna culture. So they had to, everything was done in secret. So I meet a lot of people from St. Vincent who have Garifuna ancestry, but because it was so suppressed and because a lot of people were not allowed to talk about it, they don't know a lot. So they're learning a lot from, you know, the Garifuna people in Central America. So our language is Garifuna. We have, you know, traditions that date back way back that we brought over from St. Vincent with us. You know, a lot of people they're like, you know, oh, Honduras is known for punta, but it's like Honduras is not known for punta. That's a traditional Garifuna dance, and it's actually a spiritual dance that was taken really out of context by a lot of people. It's a religious dance that's practiced during funerals. So a lot of people don't know that, but these are traditions and foods and culture that our ancestors, because they fought so, you know, rigorously, they fought endlessly up until the British and the French were like, you know what, we can't fight you guys anymore. After the fall of our paramount chief, they're like, we can't fight you guys anymore, but you guys can't stay here as free Black people. So Garifuna people were never enslaved. We were never slaves. And, you know, the British and the French, they were just like, okay, just go. So they sent us to Balisao. They sent Garifuna people to Balisao, which is another island in the Grenadines. And Garifuna people were sent there to perish. They were promised food and, you know, a life there, but they were really sent there to perish because Balisao has no livable resources. So they were sent there to perish, and a great number of them did perish, but a great number of them did survived. So the French were like, okay, you guys are resilient. So you know what? There's a small island off the coast of Honduras that's currently being governed by the British, but in the government position for this island are the Jamaicans and the Caymanians. So Rotan was being governed by Jamaicans when the Garifuna people got there.
Okay. This is something we did not know. So, I mean, educate us. This is brilliant. There's so much in history, because I think we've always known that there was a small group of people Africans who did not actually, were not slaves. They were brought over. And I think it was something about a shipwreck. And I don't know if this is true, because there are so many stories being passed around and we don't know, because we don't get to speak to anyone from these communities. So it's just brilliant to have you here talking to us about this. But one thing that I'm very interested in is the language. Could you say something for us, or a sentence in Garifuna? Nos interesa mucho escucharlo. ¿Cómo suena? How does it sound? Well, it could be a word or a sentence, just to hear the sound of it.
Well, the Garifuna language is actually a very, very beautiful language. There are words that you would recognize in English that don't mean the same thing in English. There are words you can hear because it's mixed with, you have some French, you have some, the Arawak Indians, the language they spoke. So it's a mixture. So let's see what I can say, because it's really hard to speak like on cue.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm always.
It's okay. Let's see. Maybe you can give me something to say.
Okay, say I love you, or something like
okay. Well, I love you is hisiatibunu. So if I were to say hisiatibunu, you would reply hisiatibugienu, which means I love you too.
Oh, that is so beautiful. That is really lovely. So if me start pop up my pato and start talk like, oh, we talk in a Fumi Island, although me lose a little bit of it, so me not talk so like all them talk on the island. You understand what me I say? You can follow me, or for your part a little bit different. Oh, we go.
So the way we talk is kind of different. Like we do so much song, so much people like say, for people who don't know how to differentiate the Caribbean accent, them every boy from every accent from every island got a different accent. So I understand what you say. I understand what you say, but when I talk, I not sound like you. I sound like I'm from Rotan. Plenty of people they say, well, you sound like you from Belize, you sound like you from Cayman Island, you sound like you from Barbados. But all in all, I sound like I'm from Rotan. So some boy from Barbados got know what some boy from Barbados sound like. Some boy from Belize, you got know when some boy from Belize.
Yeah.
Or let me know if I hear somebody talking from Rotan, I got know you from Rotan, because it's something special about every single Caribbean accent where we got know we people regardless of what we is, or how whether you say like how you say you lose a little bit of your accent, I got still know you from Jamaica. Yeah. Somebody from Jamaica got still know you from Jamaica. It's just things in your accent and in your dialect and even in the gesture, like when you talk, it's just things that you lose.
Yeah, that's true. I see, me understand what you say. What you say? Because I almost like say I talk English, but a little bit of fear season for your country. That make it individual and special. Me love this. Me love it because it tells a story about where we've come from, our ancestors, and it just the way we talk tells us so much. Or just listening to you. It is such a book, it's such a history book, and it's just lovely to hear. But going back a little bit to your culture, about the foods on your island, what can we see? What do you really eat? What is the speciality over there?
Well, honestly, we eat just like all the other, West Indian Caribbean islands. Like, we eat the oxtail or bean and rice, potato salad, like, I don't know if pit crab is so popular, but pit crab is a big thing in Rotan. Like we love pit crab dinner. Yeah. We got this thing where we like cook is sea pie. We like cook sea pie. It's like coconut milk and then crab, conch, and you just throw that in there. You throw everything in there. And there's really popular dish them in Rotan. We also, because we still Hondureñan, we eat Hondureñan dishes, baleadas, enchiladas, which I don't believe is Hondureñan, but we eat Hondureñan dishes, tapado. Yeah. As for the Garifuna people, the traditional Garifuna dish is you have hudutu, which in Spanish translates to machuca. It's a coconut dish with mashed plantain and a fried fish. That is how the original dish goes, and it is so good. I don't know how they came up with it, but it's so good. You have to try it. It's similar. I don't know if you've ever had mofongo from Dominican. I think that's the Dominican Republic or PR. But yeah, where you mash up the you take like, you know, couple ripe plantain, couple green plantain, you mash it up together, you make one little ball and you put it in the coconut milk and you serve it with the fried fish. And that's a traditional Garifuna dish. You also have, what's the name of this one? There's one that my boyfriend is also Garifuna, and
okay.
he's more he's more into like the foods and everything than I am, because I'm a very picky eater. But he eats I forgot the name of it, but it's like it's kind of sort of like, it looks like a tamal. The name starts with a D and I can't remember it. I'm so sorry.
Don't worry.
I can't remember. But our traditional dish that Garifuna people are known for is hudutu.
Okay.
So hudutu, that's us 1000%. A lot of people will say machuca. I don't like to say machuca because the Garifuna word for it, and a lot of people don't say the Garifuna word for it. I want people to know it as a Garifuna dish, not as a Spanish, you know, word being used for it. So if we're talking about it as a Garifuna dish, we need to use the Garifuna word. So the Garifuna, it's hudutu.
Hudutu. Me encanta, me encanta. Como no tenemos muchísimo tiempo, voy a hacerte otra pregunta. Because lots of times they're important figures within our communities and obviously we don't know about them. Is there a figure o un personaje dentro de vuestra cultura que dices, pues, it's interesting, it would be interesting for people to know about this person because they've had influence or they're important within our culture? Is there someone like that springs to mind?
Yeah, there's a few people like that who spring to mind. One of them is, you know, of course, based off history, our paramount chief, Satuye. Joseph Satuye was our, you know, he was our chief. He was the leader of our people. He saw us through battle for years on top of years. And, you know, he was relentless. He was powerful. He was strong. And till this day, you can still see, you know, his works in his people, because Garifuna people still he fought to maintain the tradition. He fought to maintain our culture for us to remain chain free. And you can still see, definitely see, I'm sorry, you can definitely still see the fruits of his, you know, his works in our people today.
Absolutely. Do you know one thing that I always feel very, very proud of? Is the fact that we've been through so much, and even though we were separated, it doesn't matter where the boat went. And it's not just, I wouldn't say just Caribbean people, but mostly Caribbean people. I find that there is this attraction, there's this tie. Wherever you are in the world, it's almost as though we have this common ground. We have something that binds us together. And it is just talking to you right now, I feel as though there is just so much that ties us together. And in a time now, especially where there's so much conflict and there's so many social issues that we need to work on, it's just what I think, listening to each other, learning from each other, building together, it is very important. Okay, so when you think of social issues that we face as a people in general, Caribbean people or American people or whatever it might be, what do you think is something that we should be doing that we're not really doing?
I think we should, especially when it comes to social issues, it's a very sensitive subject because Garifuna people are going through so much right now. You know, I feel like we're being haunted by this, whatever ghost it was, whatever curse it was that refuses for Garifuna people to maintain their own land. So a lot of people don't know that Garifuna people are fighting not only for their land, but Garifuna people are fighting for their lives in Honduras right now. They're being stripped of ancestral land that has been, you know, deemed, you're not allowed to sell it, you're not allowed to buy it. UNESCO has deemed the land as, you know, ancestral land that cannot be touched. It is for Garifuna people, can only be for Garifuna people, but Honduras is allowing the people to be stripped and murdered, anything to take us away from the land. You know, we sit on pristine beaches, we sit on land that, of course, resort owners and resort builders and, you know, contract, these people want these lands.
Of course.
So I feel like this is a social problem. And
We need to rally together for this one. And so this is why your voice and people from your community is so important to make noise about it, to bring awareness that this is still happening now. And
that is the exact direction I was going in. And when it comes to what can we be doing now more, you know, for social problems within each other. And it's, for me, I always tell people, because people hear about it for the first time every time I speak about it. It's always, you know, so many people, I've never heard of this, I've never heard of it. And I always tell them the biggest thing we can do for each other is to talk about it. Absolutely. Don't stop talking about it, because the minute it dies out, it allows the enemy to work in silence. It allows the enemy to continue to strip people. But if we continue to talk about it and learn more about each other, instead of blocking each other off, instead of believing that one group is better than the other, or that we're more powerful on our own, I feel like we are absolutely 1000% more powerful as a group of people. You know, absolutely. The Caribbean can come together, and we can defend so much more than just ourselves. Absolutely. We can defend each other. Like, and when I think about that, I think back of how Haiti, you know, revolted, and what did they do after their revolution? They went to different Caribbean islands to help with the same freedom, to help set people free. So I'm like, if we can just continue to talk about it, continue to have the conversation, learn, you know, learn what the steps are, learn who we can talk to, and occupy the spaces that need to be occupied, we can definitely, you know, we can do so much for, you know, Garifuna people. We can do so much for Jamaicans in peril. We can do so much for Haitians in peril. There's so much help that Haiti needs. There's so much that we can do if we would allow ourselves to open up our minds and listen to each other with no bias.
There you go. I think you said it all so beautifully in that little summary there. And it is precisely what we need to be doing, because, you know, all these islands that you've mentioned were such small nations, but together you make that mighty giant that can make a dent and make a difference. And so absolutely, you know, I hope that this video will enlighten at least, and will incite others to go and find out, to educate yourself, to see what they can do to help, because everyone can do something. We can all participate. And so with that, I'm going to say mil gracias por compartir con nosotros este ratito. And we hope to see you again in the future.
Absolutely. I'm so grateful. I am thankful. Thank you so much for taking your time out to, you know, to talk to me and get to know about my culture, because it starts with one person, and we all know it. You know, absolutely. One person tell a friend to tell a friend, and I wholeheartedly believe in this chain of communication. And I was so excited when you reached out to me, and I thought it was just incredible, because I mean, someone wanting to learn more about my culture just means that I'm on the right path.
Absolutely, absolutely. And my students, obviously, they will see this, and hopefully that will wake something up in them. And so this is a massive step that you've taken, and I am so grateful that you responded, because this is what this channel is all about. So again, mil gracias. And until next time, everyone. And so
in Garifuna, for goodbye, we would say ayo.
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 Nos encanta. Eso nos encanta. And so with that, guys, we will, I will see you next time.
Absolutely.
Adios, chicos.